Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita by Srila Goswami, Volume 3. Only he could read them. San Francisco, India, 1967. Today we're starting new chapter, chapter 27, India Revisited, Part 1. So Prabhupada had left New York for India, for Delhi, by Air India flight. Prabhupada and Kirtananda. The plane flew during the night and arrived in London by morning. Srila Prabhupada had planned a stopover. He checked into an airport hotel, took his massage and rested. In the afternoon, he rose and bathed, and then he and Kirtananda boarded the plane, bound for New Delhi via Moscow. While the plane was still on the ground, however, a crew member announced a short delay due to health regulations. A passenger who had disembarked earlier that day was now sick, apparently with smallpox. So the plane would have to be thoroughly fumigated. Prabhupada and Kirtananda stayed in a room at the Excelsior Hotel for the night. Early the next morning, July 24th, seated in his hotel room, complete with air conditioning and television, neither of which he had used, Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to Brahmananda in New York. Accept my blessings. I am always thinking of your separation feelings. Please do your duty nicely, and Krishna will help you in all respects. We were delayed here for 16 hours, starting this morning at 9 for Delhi. The attention of Mr. B.K. Nehru, the ambassador of India, was drawn to me the other day. I've told him about my permanent visa, and he has promised to help me when I come back. Please make an appointment with him, informing that I wish to present him our set of Bhagavatam and other literatures. Then go to him and personally present the books, etc. at Washington, D.C. It may be that as soon as I feel some strength, I shall be coming back. Up to now, there was no disturbance about my health, and I hope to reach Delhi this night. I shall write to you again after reaching Vrindavan. Convey my ardent affection and blessings for all the boys and girls. I am very much hopeful of my movement. Please keep steady, follow all my instructions scrupulously. Chant Hare Krishna and Krishna will give you all strength. See, Prabhupada, they had this layover or stopover, but Krishna made the arrangement so he could take some more rest. See, Krishna is always there to take care of Prabhupada. Prabhupada and Kirtananda flew to Moscow. There they walked around the terminal, observing what Prabhupada called propaganda pictures. After a 1-hour stopover, they reboarded and flew another 8 hours, arriving in Delhi around midnight. The wall of heat that greeted them felt good to Prabhupada. It was in July, so obviously lots of heat in Delhi. He had come for this. Inside the airport terminal, overhead fans stirred the muggy air as Prabhupada and Kirtananda stood in slow-moving lines while uniformed clerks checked passports and custom forms without Western-style computers or efficiency. Just beyond the areas for immigration and customs, people waiting for arriving passengers were waving, calling, and coming together with friends and family members. After Prabhupada and Kirtananda claimed their luggage and cleared customs, they stood on the sidewalk outside the terminal. Although Prabhupada had removed his sweater, Kirtananda stood sweltering in his black wool suit. It was 2 a.m. All around, passengers were meeting loved ones who embraced them, sometimes even garlanded them, and helped them into cars or taxis. But no one was there for Prabhupada. It was certainly different from the recent tearful airport scenes where Prabhupada had been with his loved ones. Now, instead of being surrounded by loving disciples, Prabhupada was besieged by taxi drivers and porters wanting to carry his luggage for a fee. In Hindi, Prabhupada asked one of the drivers to take them to Chippiwada in Old Delhi. The driver put their luggage in the trunk and Prabhupada and his disciple climbed into the back seat. The small ambassador taxi drove through the streets well known to Srila Prabhupada. Nighttime traffic was light, and occasional taxi or motor rickshaw. Well, now even nighttime there's so much of traffic on Delhi roads. Mostly the streets were empty and quiet, the shops closed, and occasional person or cow sleeping outdoors. Just a few years before, Prabhupada had sold Back to Godhead magazine, solicited donations, and printed his Srimad Bhagavatam here. In those days, he had been alone, practically without money or residence. Yet he had been happy, completely dependent on Krishna. But India's leaders were rejecting Vedic culture and imitating the West. Although some Indians still profess to follow Vedic culture, mostly they were victims of hodgepodge teachers who didn't accept Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. So he had felt obliged to leave, to go and transplant the Vedic culture in the West. He had held strictly to the vision of his predecessor spiritual masters, and he had been proven right. The West was a very good field for Krishna consciousness. As a taxi drove through Old Delhi and approached Chowdi Bazaar, Prabhupada saw the printing and paper shops now closed for the night, and the usual dense traffic of human-hauled carts was now absent, though some laborers were sleeping on their carts till the morning, when they would bathe in an outdoor well and begin another day's hauling. When Srila Prabhupada had been overseeing the publishing of his first volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, he had daily walked these streets, buying paper, picking up proofs from the printer, returning with the corrected proofs. His first canto had been a triumph. Chowdi Bazaar led to side streets that led to narrow lanes of Chippiwada, where upright metal posts blocked autos and rickshaws from entry. The driver stopped the taxi on an empty road and turned for his payment. Prabhupada took from his billfold 40 rupees. Now, what is this 40 rupees? The same 40 rupees he had carried with him on the boat to America in 1965. Because that time, Indian government only allowed that much money to be taken to America. It was, in American way, it was $8. That time, $1 was 5 rupees. So Prabhupada could only take that 40 rupees, and he still had that. He didn't, of course, in America, he couldn't spend rupees. But he still had that same 40 rupees. And look what the driver did. But the driver took the entire 40 rupees and said he would keep it all as just fare. Prabhupada protested. The fare should not be even half that. Loudly they argued back and forth in Hindi. The driver had pocketed the money and would give no change. As usual in India, taxi drivers. Now with Uber, the things are changing. But still, the other taxi driver, they play these games. Prabhupada knew that to get a policeman at this hour would be very difficult. Finally, although this had been nothing less than a robbery, Prabhupada let the man go. He cheated me, Prabhupada said. He and Kirtananda took their luggage and walked the last block up to the door of the Chippiwada Radha Krishna temple. And can we imagine the shock Kirtananda Maharaj must be having, dealing with all these things in India? It was locked. As it pounded loudly, Prabhupada called out for Shri Krishna Pandit until a man came to the door, recognized Prabhupada, and let them in. The man showed them upstairs and unlocked the door to Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada turned on the light. The room was bare and dusty, and the bulb hanging from the ceiling created stark light and shadows. On the floor was a 3-foot-high cement dome, indicating that directly below were the altar and the deities of Radha and Krishna. The dome prevented anyone from accidentally committing the offense of walking directly above the deities. The closet was stacked with printed Srimad Bhagavatam pages, Srimad Bhagavatam dust jackets, and form letters to prospective members of the League of Devotees. Everything was just as Prabhupada had left it. This is the room where I compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada told Kirtananda, I slept here And over here was my cooker and my typewriter. I would sleep and type and cook and type and sleep and type. Kirtananda was shocked to think of Swamiji living here in such a poor, humble place. It wasn't even clean. Although Kirtananda was uncomfortable in his suit and wondered when he would be able to get rid of it, he managed to get a thin mattress for Swamiji. Two Ayurvedic doctors, they both agreed that the trouble was Swamiji's heart, but that the danger was now past. They gave him medicines and advised him to keep to a regulated schedule of eating, resting, and working. Sri Krishna Pandit came by to sit and converse, and Prabhupada told him of his success in America and of all the young devotees in New York and San Francisco. Prabhupada played his record for Sri Krishna Pandit, and this drew a crowd of curious persons from other rooms in the temple. In the afternoon, Prabhupada developed a cough. It didn't seem serious, and he said he wanted to travel the next day to Vrindavan. But by evening, the cough had become persistent. He couldn't rest. Kirtananda tried massages and the pills the Ayurvedic doctors had prescribed, but nothing worked. Prabhupada remained awake all night, and when Kirtananda touched him in the morning, he was feverish. The doctors came again. Prabhupada's temperature was over 104. They gave teas and Ayurvedic powders while Kirtananda looked on skeptically. Because Prabhupada was having a lot of difficulty breathing when he lay down, Kirtananda thought it might be pneumonia. So Kirtananda gave him penicillin, of which he had brought a supply. In the afternoon, an elderly Sikh doctor who practiced Western medicine came by and gave Prabhupada a penicillin injection. Prabhupada then fell asleep and rested quietly for the first time in 24 hours. While Prabhupada slept, Kirtananda wrote a letter to his godbrothers in New York. I know you would like me to say straight out my opinion as to how he is, and that is not good. The outcome, as always, but now very evidently, is only in Krishna's hands. Please chant Hare Krishna, for that is the only thing that can save him. That is what saved him before, and that can do it again. I know that his task is not yet complete, and by Krishna's mercy, he can again be spared. Kirtananda also asked the New York devotees to call the devotees in San Francisco, Santa Fe, and Boston and have them continue chanting for Swamiji's health. He reminded them to strictly follow all of Swamiji's instructions. The next day, Srila Prabhupada's fever was down to 100.6. He was still sick, but he talked again of going to Vrindavan. He dictated a letter to his book-selling agents in Delhi, Atmaram and Sons, asking them for an up-to-date account of their sales of his Srimad Bhagavatam. Old acquaintances came by and were disappointed to find Swamiji unable to accept their invitations. Prabhupada asked that they invite Kirtananda in his stead. So invite Kirtananda for lectures and katha and whatever Prabhupada did. For several days, Kirtananda visited the homes of these pious Hindus. He played the record on his portable phonograph, chanting along and dancing with his arms upraised. Then he would give a short speech. His hosts accepted him as a sadhu, fascinated that an American had taken so seriously to Krishna consciousness. On August 1st, after 6 days in Delhi, Prabhupada went to Vrindavan. Kirtananda wrote back to New York. My dear brothers and sisters, greetings in the names of Krishna from Vrindavan. Obviously, Swamiji is much better, especially after reaching Vrindavan. His eyes now have a special glow. We left Delhi yesterday, 31st morning, on the Taj Express, and in 2 hours were at Mathura. We rode special third class, and it was quite satisfactory, not at all crowded like the usual third class. Anyway, we are now here and are in the process of settling down. Swamiji has 2 very nice rooms, quite cool, just off the porch where Bhagavatam is read. How appropriate. The only difficulty on his behalf is that these Indians all want to see him, and they are very persistent. I'm not very successful in keeping them out. Vrindavan, seen materially, is a very beautiful place. The country is very flat and there are many trees, monkeys, peacocks, and of course temples. But it's also very poor. Both the people and the temples are in a bad state of disrepair. But spiritually considered, there are many great devotees here, and it is wonderful to walk down the streets and see tilaks all over the place and people chanting the beads. If I can develop a fraction of the devotion for Krishna, my life will be successful. It's also thrilling to hear the temple bells ringing so many times throughout the day. Last night I played our record for Lord Damodar here in the temple and then performed kirtan with some of the local devotees. It was very nice, but you will be surprised, I think, when I say that I prefer your kirtan in New York. Yes, the difference is there. After Prabhupada had been in Vrindavan only one day and his health had only slightly improved, he began planning his return to America. I'm always thinking of, he wrote to the devotees whom he addressed as his dear students. I cannot stop my Western world activities and have taken leave from you for only 6 months, and it may be that on or before I'll come to you again. Kirtananda says from my bodily feature that I'm improving. I'm also feeling like that. In Delhi, Prabhupada had received a letter from Brahmananda saying that the Macmillan Company was definitely interested in publishing the Bhagavad Gita. In Vrindavan, Prabhupada wrote Brahmananda to sign a contract at once on his behalf. Prabhupada had been considering whether to print privately in Japan or India or to wait for Macmillan. See the thought process. To get Bhagavad Gita printed in Japan? Wow. He wasn't concerned with the prestige and financial advantages of publishing through Macmillan. His first concern was to print as quickly as possible. I shall be satisfied with the commission and shall only be glad to see that the books are being read by hundreds and thousands of men. Whatever profit may be derived from it will be utilized for the development of an American house here. So this was Prabhupada's strategy. Later on, when he besides ISKCON, they established another society trust called BVT, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. So the idea was that whatever money comes in by selling those books on the streets by devotees, 50% of the money should go to BBT for printing new books, and 50% goes to the temple. That was his strategy all along. Prabhupada stayed in his old rooms at the Radha Damodar temple, still incapacitated. He was being massaged and cared for by Kirtananda, who himself was listless and tired from the heat. But Prabhupada continued to range from one active and ambitious vision for his youthful Krishna consciousness movement to another. He would think aloud about the volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam ready to be published. If Macmillan would take them and the boys could act on his behalf. There was so much to do. He wanted to return by October and oversee things personally. Temperatures rose to more than 110 degrees. So that is like 45 degrees centigrade. And Prabhupada and Kirtananda had to stay inside with the doors shut and the overhead fan on. Although Kirtananda could barely perform his duties, Prabhupada found the heat bracing and said it was restoring his health. Then after the first week, the monsoon rains began and the heat broke. On August 10, Kirtananda wrote home again. God, is it a hot place? But at last the rains have started again and there is some relief from the heat. You can believe me when I say it was hot, but now it is raining a great deal of the time. And that has made the weather quite comfortable for me, but unfortunately not for Swamiji. Also, I have developed the inevitable case of dysentery, which has been persisting for about a week now. Yesterday again began the festival of Jhulan, in which Radha and Krishna come out and swing for about 5 days. So I made the rounds of about a half dozen temples here. Some of them are extremely beautiful inside, although most are small. Still, I can say this with all truthfulness and sincerity that none are so transcendently beautiful and spiritual as 3720 Park Avenue, Montreal. So he's thinking of Montreal temple. And I think even Swamiji would agree with me there. Kirtananda's letter gave heart to the devotees back home and confirmed their suspicion. It was not Hinduism, not India. It was Swamiji and chanting Hare Krishna that was sustaining their spiritual life. As Prabhupada's spiritual children wrote from the fledgling centers in half a dozen cities in North America, he would reply, Vrindavan is an inspiration only, but our real fieldwork is all over the world. Even if I die, you are my future hopes and you will do it. I'm feeling very much for you all. Please let the ball roll on just as it is set. Brahmananda wrote from New York asking for an explanation of why Swamiji, pure devotee, was suffering serious illness. Swamiji had explained that conditioned souls and even beginning devotees are attacked by Maya. But was Swamiji also being attacked by Maya? On August 14, Srila Prabhupada replied, Don't be afraid of my being attacked by Maya. When there is fight between two belligerent parties, it's always expected that there will sometimes be reverses. Your country and the Western world is mostly under the grip of Maya and the modes of nature in passion and ignorance. And my declaration of war against the Maya is certainly a great battle. Maya saw me very successful within 1 year, so that I got so many sincere young fellows, young followers like yourself and others. So it was a great defeat to the activities of Maya. Western country youngsters giving up illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling is certainly a great reverse in the activities of Maya. Therefore, she took advantage of my old age, weakness, and gave me a death dash. But Krishna saved me. Therefore, we should thank more Krishna than eulogize Maya. So far as my present health is concerned, I think I'm improving. At least I'm taking lunch better than in New York. So as soon as I'm a little fit to return to the field of battle, I shall again be in your midst. Amazing. It's really amazing what Prabhupada is thinking, what he wants to do. And at this age, he wants to go back to America to fight, to preach, to propagate. Well, at least that is the reason we all are here. Otherwise, where would we be? So anyway, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.